Service. We introduced this song last month. Everybody's familiar with Billy Joel, right? Everybody remember the 80s song, We Didn't Start the Fire?
Yeah!
Yeah, well, if you don't, it's awesome. But we ended up changing. There's a lot of words to these songs in the verses. We actually changed all the verses to include, well, secular authors, artists, actors, performers, people throughout history. So a lot of work went into that. We've got a great PowerPoint that works with it, but I want to make sure before we get started that everybody knows the chorus. So give me a little chord here, Ray. Alright, so here's how it goes. I want you to sing along. Remember it now. Now it's familiar. Alright, ready? So we're going to go. That's alright. We didn't start the fire. It was always burning since the world was turning. We didn't start the fire. Though we didn't light it, let's not try to fight it. That's important. Let's not. Changing that up a little bit. So, everybody got it?
Do it one more time.
Alright, one more time. So here we go. Ready?
One more time.
We didn't start the fire. It was always burning since the world's been turning. We didn't start the fire. Though we didn't light it, let's not try to fight it. Oh, you guys got it. Alright, well let's do this thing. named the Assembly Band. Give it up. Amazing. Amazing. Lost my mic. How's everybody feeling today? You guys can sit down. Sit down. Take a load off. Take a break. Welcome out. Let's try that one more time. How's everybody feeling today? Thank you guys so much for coming out. This is the fourth month of the Sunday Assembly here in Nashville, Tennessee. Who's been here from day one? Who's been here from day one? Who's here for the first time? Who's excited to be here, period? Well, it's going to be a fantastic day. Thank you guys for coming out. We really appreciate it. We're going to give you a little information just so you know, first timers, old timers, you know what the Sunday Assembly is all about. The Sunday Assembly is a godless congregation that celebrates life. Life is a beautiful thing, and we should live to celebrate it every single day, and that's what everybody in here is going to do. There's a motto here: live better, help often, wonder more. A great motto to live by. And last but not least, what's the mission, what's the purpose? And the purpose of the Sunday Assembly is to help everyone live this one life as fully as possible. It's a great motto, a great mission. And the one thing that I also love is that the one thing that the church tries to do here is to help everyone find and fulfill their full potential. That's what we want to help everybody do. Everybody who's here from day one has said we want to help everybody become the best you can be in this incredible life that we've all been so lucky to have. The one thing that I want to point out today, so also want to remind everybody, if you're tweeting, if you are live tweeting here, which some people like to tweet when they're having a good time. I like to tweet and twaddle sometimes myself. When you're doing it, as you're tweeting out today, make sure you put a little hashtag SA Nashville. That way people know where you are. Let them know that you're at the Sunday Assembly Nashville. Hashtag SA Nashville. Very important for the tweedles in the audience. Anybody who brought kids today, we love having kids out here, but if you want to put your kids to the side, we have a kids side room over here for kids who like to just hang out and are good at hanging out on their own. Kids who don't like to hang out well on their own, we have a room in the back that is supervised with professional child care, paid for by Sunday Assembly. So good for those guys. Thanks for taking care of that. We try to create a very family-friendly environment here at the Sunday Assembly. The theme today, every month at Sunday Assembly we have a theme, and the theme this month is home. There's a lot of different ideas to that. There's going to be a lot of people talking about that today. And to kick off the idea of home, we're going to have a reading with our very own Landry Butler, who's going to come up onto the stage. He has an original composition as well as one that was composed by a very well-known, brilliant author. So please welcome to the stage Mr. Landry Butler for this week's reading.
Thanks for coming out. Thanks for us having a good time. All right, I'm going to do, the theme is home, and I'm looking for one piece that can kind of encapsulate and encompass all of what home means. I didn't find that one piece. I found two pieces. One is a piece that I wrote called Driving Home, and the other one is a piece by Paul Lawrence Dunbar called Summer in the South. I was driving home the other night. It was late, but I wasn't tired. I was kind of bored. There was nothing on the radio. As I turned off the main highway, my car stalled. It's a Volvo with 300,000 miles on it, so these things happen. The phone rang and the voice said, "Please don't hang up. We know who you are. You've been down this road before and you know how it ends." Well, that was strange. The car started back up, but I took a different way home, over the river and through the woods. And when I got home, the house was different than before. Those irises you planted were blooming, and there were deer in the yard. And is that the dog? I didn't know we had a dog. And I kissed you like we'd never kissed before, and you said, "Wow." We went inside and we sat down. The oriole sings in the greening grove as if he were halfway waiting. The rosebuds peep from their hoods of green, timid and hesitating. Rain comes down in a torrent sweep. The nights swell warm and piney. The garden thrives, but the tender shoots are yellow-green and tiny. Then a flash of sun on a waiting hill. Streams laugh that erst were quiet. The sky smiles down with dazzling blue, and woods run Thanks for coming out. This incredible place, this whole idea is spreading all around the world. You know, it's not just in Nashville. Now they're popping up in Australia, all across the U.S. and the UK, and it is the brainchild of two people, one of whom we are lucky to have here with us today. So would you please welcome one of the creators, the founders of the Sunday Assembly, all the way from the UK, Mr. Sanderson Jones.
Hey there, guys. How's it going? Yeah, we good? Is everyone good in Nashville? Super. Guys, I've learned a new thing today about Nashville. Even though the diner Nashville says that it is open at 5 a.m. on a Sunday, it is not open at 5 a.m. on a Sunday, and it should update its website. So that's what I've learned. I've been here for a very short amount of time, and it is totally great to be here. I think they should just do a quick explanation. Then you've probably noticed there's quite a few cameras about, yeah? If you haven't, you are the worst at checking out surveillance. Like someone is following you the whole time because you just do not notice things. So what happened is that the Sunday Assembly, me and my friend Pippa started it in January last year, and then, what do you know, it's gone weird. And it suddenly loads of people heard about it and wanted to do it, and so then Mr. Morgan Spurlock said, oh, this is interesting, and so he wants to find out a bit by actually doing one, so he's down here to host the Sunday Assembly, and that is why Morgan Spurlock is here. Okay, just in case... Hey, I didn't know Morgan Spurlock was involved in this. Yeah, so that's why that has happened, and he kindly invited me over, and it's so nice to be here to talk about home. And well, I mean, I've only been here for a day once before. We launched this in November, and things have got really weird, as Morgan said. Like, loads of people in the world wanted to do it, and if you just since us last year, we had loads of people saying they wanted to start their own, and now, Landry, if you hit the next button. So this is a list of the places where, since I was here last, they've asked for a Sunday Assembly of their own, and there are more than 2 people. So next slide, Landry. Next one. Next one. Next one. Next one. Next one. And that's just in the US, which is weird. As if you just go off this slide there, Landry. And yes, super weird. There's even been people who have asked to start one in Hong Kong, which we're going to try to help them start it there, because I'm pretty sure it's going to be easy, because the one thing the Chinese government love, it is self-organized grassroots movement with a little bit of social change baked into them, which were brought up in the UK and are popular in the US. They're going to say, yes please, we want some of that. And so now I'm in the very weird situation where I'm here with, it's all very odd, and I think I'm going to mess it up, because we've been asked to talk about home. That is, Morgan came up with that, and the cameras are rolling, and I'm afraid I'm going to mess this up, because I'm actually going to talk about how unimportant home is, which is slightly going against the entire grain of today. Well, look, maybe I can pull it back from this awkward moment. Because, I mean, the longing for home, I'll say, is a great feeling. I mean, how many times have you heard someone say, people get homesick? I mean, that's not something you long for, is it? It's not like, I met this new girl, she is so homesick. And even nostalgia, which is, is not that great an emotion, I don't think. That longing for the past, that longing for another place, that longing for other, people you knew before. Nostalgia, that, unworthy emotion, actually comes from the Greek word nostos, homecoming, and algia, pain. A pain from thinking about home. I think that there's a lot of people, we've got this longing for home, And so instead of talking about it as an unalloyed good thing, I'm going to I was reading maybe the best the person who's I've got to go to my notes now. Normally I have these on a music stand, but this being Nashville, you guys do not need music stands. So once again, being destroyed by your virtuoso musicianship. So I'm going to start with, I think, one of the best arguments against the longing for home which has ever been made. And that argument against it was written by Seneca, who, as we all know, is the second choice backup quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. No, he's actually a philosopher. He's a Roman philosopher, and he... I'm sorry guys, every now and again I also will try to make NFL jokes because I love the NFL and I've discovered that most people who come to the Sunday Assembly don't. And when we started this I was like going to come over, I'm going to say, hey, how about those whatever you call them? And everyone's like, no, I don't like it. So anyway, but Seneca, he wrote this thing, it's called the Consolations, and he was exiled. And he was exiled from Rome, and in those days that was the worst. I mean, there was death, and then there was banishment. It was the greatest punishment you could have, because in those days, there was Rome, and there was everywhere else. It was the Nashville of antiquity. But he was banished, and he wrote this letter to his mother to say why him being cut off from home was not a bad thing. This is, and he sort of, makes a very good argument for it. One of his best points, I thought, was, this is the thing, visit all towns. There is not one of these that does not contain a large proportions of aliens. How many people here in Nashville were not born, how many people is this your home forever? Give me a cheer if you're born in Nashville. Give me a cheer if you weren't born in Nashville. You see, but home can mean different things. Everyone here, this was not your original home. And the fact is, who's moved to Nashville? How many times have people moved away from it? And he goes and develops the argument further. He goes and says that after you've got food and shelter, most of the things which people imagine he's been cut off from, all those fine wines, all that fine living, all the palaces he was part of. In fact, he made the point that he doesn't need that. He didn't even need his family, he didn't even need his friends. He loved that they were there, but him not being with them was not the key. And I'd say, how many people here have had a lot, then lost the lot, and in that moment of losing it, realised that they did not need all the things that they have had. And I think that, that's the thing which he discovered when he was banished. That's the thing which he made the point of. And I know that's sort of been very true of me in some stage, and he puts it really well. He says, external circumstances have very little importance, either for good or for evil. The wise man is neither elated by prosperity nor depressed by adversity, for he has always endeavoured to depend chiefly upon himself and derive all the joys from himself. And I think that is just a wonderful thing to think about. We're so often surrounded by these messages that we need more, don't we? We're so often surrounded by these messages that we don't have everything that we need. But once you have food and shelter, that is so much of what you have. And I certainly look back on my life. I was brought up, for the first 10 years of my life, comfortably middle class, very nice. And then my dad married a baroness, and it got crazy. Yeah, she decided that the way we lived was not good enough, and we moved to a house which was used in an advertisement for winning the lottery. It was crazy, and yet that was the richest I've ever been, and I have never been less happy. I know that the time when I used to sell ads, and the times when I was earning the most money, again, was the time that I was least happy. And so I just say that, what's Seneca's challenge to us today? And it's like, I think it is, do you want to change your surroundings and go back home? Or do you want to change yourself so that everywhere feels like home? And I think that is something, and when again you're thinking, how can you, what does Seneca, this Roman guy sitting on a rock in the ocean, what lessons, how can we actually put it into practice in life? And well, I think there's, sorry, again, the music stand would be super helpful, guys. I've been to the Country and Western Hall of Fame, and once again, I'm blaming you guys being good at music for me losing my place. And so, what does this guy who lived on a rock, what's the easiest way that we can go and find home wherever we are? And I think the easiest way is not to look at all the things that you don't have, but rather to contemplate all the things that you do have. The easiest way to find home is not in the imagined future that you can have, but to look round at the things that are really dear. The people who are next to you right now. I mean, and that is what he said. It's these people, all of these things that we long for and not necessarily the answer. And then I saw a really good way of illustrating this. So we're just going to end with an experiment, a bit of thing, because I saw a really good way of illustrating this point when I went to Oxford for the launch of the Oxford Sunday Assembly. And we had a guy there who did a little bit of mindfulness, a little mindfulness exercise. Guys, does anyone here give me a cheer if you've done mindfulness meditation before? Hey, wow, let's give me a cheer if you haven't. It sounds weird, doesn't it? Yeah, but in fact, it is the thing. It's sort of like imagining vegetables tasting like meat. It's really good for you, and it's also awesomely fun. And so what this guy did is he was a guy at Oxford, he's from the Oxford Mindfulness Centre, and he just made us try to appreciate the simplest things. And so what he did is he gave everyone a raisin, and then he got us to listen to the raisin and look at the raisin and really be aware of the raisin. It was a lot more fun than it sounds. And then it was so good. And then he asked, he said, are there any things that, are there any does anyone have any feedback from this? And there's this one wonderful guy, this 80-year-old guy in the back. He put his hand up and he said, yes, when I was looking at the raisin, I found myself studying its every crinkle, and I began to fall in love with it. And then, when I put it in my mouth, I began to grieve. And so it was the most wonderful thing. And so what I'm going to do is to show the easiest way to find happiness, in anything. The easiest way to find home wherever you are, I think, is just to be aware of the simplest things there are. So guys, are we ready to get mindful? Okay, are we ready to get mindful? I love introducing mindfulness like it's a fight. All right then, so guys, the first thing, you just put your hands out in front of you. Everyone put their hands out in front of you. And so now, I'm just going to ask you just to look at your hands. Don't just look at them, but to just really study them in depth. Just like turn them round. Just be really aware. They're crazy. I don't know if you just wander around with these like they're normal. You can move. Just really study every crevice. Just think about all the things I can do. So now, having looked at them, now just try to move them and enjoy moving them in as many different ways as you can. You move them with your mind. And they're attached to your body. I could pass you a jar of pickles. You'd be able to open them. Like a sealed container. And just really enjoy it. Because they're these small things, you use them every day. So now already that's pretty nuts. Well, you can move them. And now we're just going to step up a level. And just to touch your hands, just to enjoy the feeling. Great. stop there before we get too into it. So, I mean, and that's the most wonderful thing, that they're just a part of you, this little thing that you can take for granted in the everyday rush of life, and yet they are capable of so much wonder. By the way, guys, did anyone notice anything about their hands when they're doing that, or did anyone have any weird, what was it like? Anyone have any feedback? No. What about the opposable thumbs? You just enjoying them? They're nuts. They make everything possible. Without that, we are just still scratching around in the jungle somewhere. Every day you get to use them. And so, you know, in this sort of longing for home, I mean, I think when we in London we had our kids. We did have a kids corner like this, but then the children voted to disband it so that they could be in the service. And their best feedback was like, when you move them, they're like worms. Which I hadn't thought of before. I mean, it's just the sort of simplest things, I think, that whenever, you know, we've got the longing for home, you know, so far one of the things that most people have said when they're here is when they come to the Sunday Assembly, that it's something that they've longed for, that they've come along and, you know, there's often people go, I thought it would be weird. It was really normal. I hadn't done hand things then. But that home is just such a powerful thing, and I think that, you know, to not necessarily associate it with a place, to not necessarily associate it with things you want or the people who are there, but to associate it with having worked out what it is that you want from life. Well, I mean, I think the man Seneca said it best. When you're in Nashville, always pose on Seneca. That's what they say. You know, this world, the greatest and most beautiful of nature's productions, and its noblest part, a mind which can behold and admire it, are our own property, and will remain with us as long as we ourselves endure. Let us therefore briskly and cheerfully hasten with undaunted steps, whithersoever circumstances call us. Let us wander over whatever countries we please. No place of banishment can be found in the whole world in which we cannot find a home. Thank you very much.
Take me home to the place I belong, West Virginia, Mountain Mama. Take me home, country road. All my memories gather round her. Mindless lady, stranger to blue water, dark and dusty, hanging on the sky. Misty days of moonshine, teardrop in my eyes. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong, West Virginia, Mountain Mama. Take me home, country roads. I hear her voices in the morning hour. She calls me. Radio reminds me of my home far away. Driving down the road, I get the feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong, West Virginia, Mountain Mama. Take me home, country roads, take me home, country roads, take me home.
Let's hear it for the Shelby Water String Band.
They're going to be back in just a second with another song. Every assembly, yes, sit down. Thanks for standing. My state would thank you. I thank you on behalf of the state of West Virginia for standing for that song. Thank you. Joining us now on stage is a member of the Sunday Assembly, one of the founding members. And we have this thing at Sunday Assembly where we talk about people who are doing their best. They're trying their best. It's a little thing where someone comes up and kind of gives you their story about trying to do their best in their life, whatever they may be struggling with. And would you please welcome to the stage. You saw him singing earlier as he was rocking out, the lead singer of the unnamed Assembly Band, Mr. Adam Newton, who's trying his best.
Well, this segment is called Trying My Best, and as Morgan described, it's an opportunity for really any of us to take a few minutes and share something about their life. What I'd like to do is to take a few moments and talk about, certainly from a topical perspective of home today, some of my story. I actually got connected about 2 weeks before the first Sunday Assembly happened, to the Sunday Assembly. David Lyle, whom I had met on a periphery a couple of times, had sent me an email because he had heard that I play guitar and maybe I'd like to help out with music. I said, well, that's fine. I don't play guitar, but I'm happy to help with music. So we got in and did it right away, and here we are today. But to take you back from the beginning, I grew up in a wonderful home. It was a small town America. Really looking back on it, it was happiness. My father is a Baptist minister. My mother is a nurse. My brother and I lived in this little small town. We were happy. We were safe. We were secure. We were taught well, and it was great. And a huge part of that growing up for me was our church. I mean, of course, being who my father was, the church was everything, every much a bit as home as anything else was. It was an opportunity for us to, make friends and grow up with them and, experience life through potlucks and choir and drama and missions trips. And it was a wonderful community of people that are still very dear to me this day. And as I grew up, not much of that changed. I didn't go to church as much in college because few do, but I went to school to be a vocal major. Met my love of my life at college, and sang in churches and things here and there. But when I graduated and realized that vocal majors don't get paid, I got a real job, a real career, and then I married the love of my life, and we set off building a home of our own. 3 children, suburbs of Chicago, wonderful, big old house, with everything that you'd like and all the comforts. And just as much a big part of that was the church. I mean, certainly that didn't stop at all for us. We were very, very involved from the beginning. So I did leadership teams, I led worship, small groups. Again, just experiencing life with people who you were having kids with at the same time that they were having kids, and you go do stuff outside it, and you get to know these people, and you love them, and it's wonderful. About 5 years ago, something happened where I was actually decided to lead another small group, and we were going to take about an 8-week period and do this study, and I had to decide what the topic of that conversation was going to be. And in this case, I picked a book that was written by an atheist who sought out to disprove Christianity through this book. It wasn't designed to, in himself, I guess as a result, he became a Christian, and it wasn't designed necessarily to be a small group type study thing. So I had to really take my time with it. I read each chapter very diligently, looking for material that I could bring into the small group setting, talk about things, discussion topics and the like. And during this process, my faith crumbled. Exactly the opposite of what this gentleman had experienced is what I experienced. And 2 things were happening. There was this point that was extremely liberating, where it's like, oh, wow, suddenly I see things from a different perspective, and that has impacts on how I live and how I view the world and the choices that I make, and it was great. And then there's this other side that was terrifying, because everything I knew, everybody I knew, I no longer believed like them.
I could have been quiet. I could have said nothing. You know, I could have just said, all right, well, let's work in self-survival here and bury it down and just go on leading the small groups and leading worship and, you know, pretending that this is still something that means the same thing as it did before, and I didn't do that. You know, I certainly talked to my pastor and my wife and such, and started this process of saying, you know, hey, this is what I think now. And I remember one of the toughest conversations that I had to have was with my parents. You know, I remember the drive over there was 2 hours away from where we lived. It was a little snowy. It was the kind of car ride where you don't listen to the radio at all. You just kind of sit there and you think, and it's like, well, what am I going to say? What are they going to say? Am I ever actually going to be welcome back here once I'm done saying that? You know, I sat across from them at the dining room table and shared with you, or with them very much like I'm sharing now, a little more specifics, but you know, you could tell, you could see the disappointment, you could see the, you know, the heartache that would naturally come from something like that. And they looked at me and they said, we love you. You're always welcome here. You know, regardless of what I said and what I felt, you know, it was incredibly comforting to me to know that this home that I had was still intact. My marriage wasn't so fortunate. We tried our very, very best for years, and unfortunately, it didn't make it. You know, counselors and books and talking to people and just really trying to struggle through it, and eventually we decided that it's probably not for the best. And so I was faced with the prospect of actually finding a new home, you know, after years and years. And you know, when you have a separation like that and you have children like we did, it becomes, you know, very difficult and traumatic in a lot of ways. And it was incredibly hard to tell, you know, my children that I'm no longer going to live here. You know, I'm going to have a different home and you're going to be part of it and it's going to be great. And I'm really sorry. I had to get an apartment. I didn't have anything in that apartment. And so one of the wonderful things that happened was my mom and dad gave me, had to be every bit of money that they could have possibly given. And my mom came down and she bought me a couch and she bought my kids bedspreads and clothes and plates and things like that so that we could start out with this new home. And it's been great. It's been great. But there was still this piece that's missing, right? I mean, this piece that was always very, very important in every aspect of my life that was no longer there. This isn't something that you can just replace, right? You know, for many of you in this room, you may have experienced like me. It's like, okay, I've got all this newfound knowledge that I want to share, and I don't have anybody to talk to about this. I don't know what to do. And fast forward, that's when, you know, I got that email from David, and I said, well, yeah, I don't play guitar, but I'll come and I'll help, and here we are today. And, you know, this group may not be for everybody, right? You may come here and you may think, this is not for me, but I'm willing to wager that there are a lot of people like me out there who are looking for something that is an opportunity to live better than what I am today with people who share at least some level of understanding with me and who want to experience life together, to help often, you know, to get together and actually do good in the community together, and to wonder more, to explore this wonderful, great world in this community that we have. And again, I don't know that it's for everybody, but it certainly is for me, and I hope that you all can take that as well. I'll try my best for you and for the assembly as a whole, and again, I really appreciate it. So thank you very much.
Let's give a big round of applause for that guy. How many people can relate to Brad's story? How many people can relate to what he's talking about? Well, all of you have to hug him before he leaves. And I'm going to be counting. I saw the hands. Right now we want to invite the Shelby Bottom String Band back up onto the stage. These amazing folks. Woo! As they come up.
Save it. Save that energy.
Because right now, as they're getting their tune on and getting their check on, getting the check, this is the check and the tune part, and then it's going to be quiet. What we do every month is we have a moment of calm. We have 60 seconds of silence, a moment of reflection where you can think about anything you like. Family, friends, loved ones, home, whatever you want. So 60 seconds, we're just going to have a moment of calm. Thank you. Now before they kick in with a little East Nashville rag, before they get crazy, this is the time of the show, the time of the service where we take the collection, everybody's favorite part. Because as much and as great as this is, as we all love it, it ain't free. Everybody here is free, everybody's volunteer. Shelby Bottom String Band, they're here for free. Unnamed Assembly Band, they're here for free. All the volunteers, all the people who are in the green shirts, they're here for free. Everybody just wants this to be a great thing, but this still costs money. This space, to put this on every month, costs about $550. Everybody here in the room puts in $5. That's next month. If you put in $10, that's 2 months. 15, that's 3, 20, it's gonna give you 4. Somebody digs deep, y'all put in $50, boy, we're gonna be here for a year. It's gonna be amazing. So, as it gets passed around, grab a little cash, give whatever you can. We can also take checks and credit cards, I just found out. Tanya in the back, everybody turn around and say, hi, Tanya. Tanya loves your credit cards. So if you have a credit card you'd like to give some money, she can run it for you. Tell her whatever you'd like to donate. She can also give in the back, you have a check, whatever. As it gets passed around, as we make donations, say hi to your neighbor. Say hi to the person next to you. Get their names, find out who they are. Say, hi, Kat, how are you? Great to see you. Thanks for coming out. Hey, Peter, good to see you. Thanks for coming out. So right about now, let's have our good friends from Shelby Bottom. Take it away. Rip it up, guys.
All right, Bill in East Nashville, you're in the hood now.
I just want you to know that all this money stays local, so we can make this happen locally. And Tanya is our money person. Give it up for Tanya.
That's right. None of this money is getting sent back to. None of this is getting sent back to Sanderson in the UK. It's not going back to like the Ivory Tower in London.
Sorry.
It's all staying right here on the ground and going right into the Nashville Sunday Assembly. So as you pass around, talk to the folks nearby and rock out to the Shelby Bottom.
So, do we got any folks from East Nashville here? All right, I see there's a few of you. Well, I just want you to know you're very lucky. You're in the hippest zip in Nashville right now, right here, right today, right here at 5.2, around this whole neighborhood. So I wrote this little song about our neighborhood. Michael and I have lived here since 1996. We're old timers, pre-tornado. And we're amazed by what's happened in this neighborhood, and we wrote this little song about it. It's called East Nashville Rag. It's the title cut of our CD, which we have over there in case anybody wants one. $15. We can do credit cards too. And so we hope you will enjoy it. And here we go with the East. Oh, also, I forgot to mention, we do have a video on YouTube. East Nashville Rag. Check it out. It was shot all around here in 5 Points, the park, the firehouse, the 5 spot on Monday night with the dancing. It's a cool little video. Check it out on YouTube. So here we go with the East Nashville Rag. 1, 2, 3, 4.
want them to come back. The better you make them feel, the more willing they are to come back and work for nothing. So thank you guys for coming out. We're very glad you guys are here. We want to remind everybody to sign up before you leave. This whole community is all here because of you, first-timers, old-timers. We want to make sure you have your contact information right on the other side of the Sunday Assembly sign. There is a legal pad where we'll take your name, your phone number, your email. We want to make sure we stay in touch with everybody who comes here today. You can also sign up through the Facebook page. You go on Facebook, there's Sunday Assembly Nashville. You can go there, you can like it, you can friend it, you can share it, you can send it to all your amigos and say, I saw the most awesome thing, you should come! And send it out to them, and we'll also let you know when the next services are and what's happening. There's a brunch happening March 1st. Every month there's a brunch from the folks at Sunday Assembly. It's at Bongo Java. If you go to the Sunday Assembly meetup on meetup.com, find out where it is with Sunday Assembly Nashville, sign up, get yourself a seat, come out for the brunch. It's a great place to continue to meet the people that are in the community. And right after this, if you guys want to hang around, everybody's going to head over to Drifters for brunch there today. So make your way right after this service, right next door, or we'll have some good grub, some beverages, just to celebrate this great day and celebrate life a little bit. Last but not least, the most important part of all this is you guys, the folks who are here. As you see all these folks here, Chris, everyone in these green shirts, Tanya, David, these volunteers who make this whole thing happen, they put this thing on, every single month. And more of you are coming, more of you are becoming part of the community. We need you to stay here. We need you to stay involved. We need you to find your place. And while you say, well, listen, that brunch sounds like a great idea. What about a potluck? I want to have a potluck at my house. You should do that. Potlucks are awesome. Who doesn't love casserole? Come on. It's like you could have a potluck at your house. Everybody can bring. Franco loves casserole. It's like you could have a potluck at your house. Bring over some casserole. It'll be a great time. Or you can say, I don't want to do that. What about a bowling night? Who doesn't love bowling? Dude. Yeah, dude, come on. Everybody loves bowling. You can say, I want to put together, a Sunday Assembly bowling night on a Wednesday. It'd be like a Wednesday Assembly bowling night. And you guys all get together, have a bowling night, and you say, well, I don't, want to do that. I like reading. I bet there's a lot of people who like to read those books in here. I bet there's a lot of fancy book learning going on in this room. So for those of you who like to entertain your brain with words and books, put together a book club. It's a great idea. Whatever you want, whatever you imagine, those types of things, those types of involvements, the things that you want to create within this community are going to be the things that make this community stronger, better, anything. We volunteered yesterday at what is again the room in the inn, at Room in the Inn, where we brought food to the guys that were there, fed about 90 people. It was amazing. There's a great volunteer side of this whole assembly that you could be a part of. You say, listen, I've got great ideas for other volunteer projects we can do. Let me do that. It's an amazing thing, and you can get as much out of this as you put in, and that's the most important thing. So get involved, get your name, leave it here, and become a part of this community because you'll be glad you did. There's a lot that can happen. Which brings me to my next thing, which is today's talk. Today we're talking about home. And home can mean, a lot of things to different people. It could mean a house, could mean an apartment, could be a yurt. Some people rock a yurt. I don't know. It's like that could be home to you. You never know. There's a lot of definitions of home. But my favorite definition of home is this: a place where one's domestic affections are centered. Domestic affections. Isn't that nice? It's like a Merchant Ivory film. Domestic Affections, starring Emma Thompson. This weekend on Downton Abbey, Domestic Affections. Yes, in case the only one who watches Downton Abbey in the whole room. PBS thanks you, and the BBC. Thank you for tuning in. I love the idea of home. For me, home, when I think of home, I think of West Virginia. And I think of a certain time in my life, because that's when the foundation of home was kind of built for me. When you first get this idea of what home means, and I picture little, pale, lanky me in West Virginia, which is not much different than tall, pale, lanky me as an adult. I had the same mustache, we grew them very early, like birth in West Virginia. I was born with this. And so, but I imagine this idea of what home was through kind of those childlike moments of what home meant. And to me, the first thing home meant was safety. Home was a safe place for me. Home was a place where you could go, where there were no judgments. There was nobody, who would say terrible things, or people who would look out for you. Like for me, home was a safe place where I could start to understand who I was as a person. And out of that comes something incredibly remarkable. Out of that comes confidence. Out of that comes courage. And I'll tell you a quick anecdote as to why that courage was important for me growing up in West Virginia. I was the youngest of 3 ballet dancing brothers in West Virginia, which is not the cool thing to be in West Virginia. at all. Like when you think of the most uncool thing you could be in West Virginia, ballet dancing is there, probably behind something else that's equally as awkward, like a mime. Maybe like a mimes, then ballet dancers, then that's probably about it. But it's like, I was the youngest of 3 ballet dancing brothers. And it was not a cool thing, not a great thing to be, but my parents gave me the courage. They said, yeah, go do that thing that you want to do. That's awesome. Go do that. We don't understand why, but you should go do that. And they gave us the courage and the confidence to go do that thing that we wanted to do. And when I think of home, I think of those 2 great parents I had. I think of my dad, this guy who from my whole childhood was, he was an entrepreneur. He started a business out of the back of our garage, and I never saw him. He was always so busy, and it was one of those things where it took me, growing up and becoming an adult to realize all the things that he provided for us and provided for me as a young kid growing up. I think of my grandmother. My grandmother, who at 12 years old, my grandfather gave me my first rifle, which I'm from West Virginia. It happens. I'm sure it happens in Tennessee. You get your first rifle. I was 12. Probably happens at like 6 in Tennessee, right? 7. And so I got my first rifle at 12, and my grandfather gave it to me. My grandmother says, I'm going to take you squirrel hunting, which also happens in West Virginia. So we went squirrel hunting at the age of 12, and she takes me out in the woods, and I've been practicing for weeks. I've been practicing, and I became a great shot with my .22, and we're out in the woods, and I see a squirrel up in the tree, and I shot him. When he comes rolling down, I got him on the first shot. It was amazing. I was very happy. I was very proud of myself. And so he falls out of the tree, and I go running over with the gun, and I point at the squirrel, and I say, should I shoot him again? I had a bloodlust right there. It's like, and my grandmother was like, no! And she picks him up by the tail, and she goes, don't go wasting that ammunition. And she whacks him against the tree. 5, 6 times. And then she hands him to me. And I put him in my bag. Home. I think of my mom when I think of home. I think of this amazing woman, this amazing collector. My mom's a collector. She collected all kinds of stuff. She collected magazines, she collected precious moments, she collected people. I can't think of a time in my whole life where I would come home and there wasn't someone in our house that was there for dinner, that was there to sleep on the couch, that was there to stay in the guest bedroom. My mom was such this believer that anybody who had more should always help someone who had less. Anyone who needed help, my mom was always there to bring them into our home, because that was important to her, to help them understand that there was a place where they could go and be safe. And so for me, when now my viewpoint of home has changed, because now I live in New York City. Now I'm a father. I have a little boy, and we had our son in our house in the basement. His mom and I, we had a home birth in the basement in a tub, one of those hippie tubs, that we brought him into this world, and there was nothing better for me than to kind of lay in bed the night my son was born with my son in our home. It was such a special thing to have happen. And now that he's 7, and I leave all the time with work and I'm gone, he goes, Daddy, all you ever do is leave. And it's heart-wrenching. It's the worst thing you could hear as a father. And all I hope is that someday he can understand the things that I do and the things that I try to learn, I try to share, are things that I want to share with him, that I want him to take away just as I did from my own father, how important they were in home and how important that is. And so when I look at this place and I look at what this means, what I want everyone here to take away from this Sunday assembly is that this is your new home. That's what this place represents to you. This is a safe place for all of you. It's a safe place for you to come and share with one another who believe the same things that you believe, who are in search of the same things you're in search of. It's a place for you to feel confident, to go out and be courageous and share those ideas with the world, to bring more people in. It's a great place for you to start to bring your children. There's so many kids that were here in the first service and the second service. It's a great place for you to continue to inspire in them an idea of what's important in this world, and that to be good is great. And so to all of you, I say today, welcome home. Right now, I want to bring back up the one and only unnamed Assembly Band. Let's hear it for them, ladies and gentlemen, as they come back up onto the stage. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you. Great job. Great job. Great job. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Once again, I want to remind everybody, after this service, go next door for some brunch at Drifters. We want to see you. We want to talk to you. We want to drink with you. We want to hang out with you. We want to chat with you. All the above. So come next door to Drifters right after this.
Coffee
good
on
grub
the
and good times. And what?
Coffee on the bars, Morgan.
And there's coffee on the bar in the back. If you want to hang out, get coffee in the back afterwards. If you want to hang out here and talk to folks, there's coffee here. We would love for you to do that. Last but not least, give us your email before you leave. I want to remind you, right on the other side of that wall, there's a sign-up sheet. Give us your email before you walk out of the door. And everybody stand up for the last song. This is our final song of the day. Let's stand up. Have a great time.